Good afternoon. Good afternoon, beloveds. I'm catching up. That's all. I had surgery on Wednesday, and so I did Wednesdays yesterday, and then I did yesterday's this morning, and realized these reading glasses give me weird shadows. And so I'm doing today's this afternoon, and I will be caught up, and then we will be back to regularly scheduled, 9 o'clock in the morning. And hopefully until fair starts, then we'll be where we are. Okay. So it is September 16th. Our title is Your Needs and Your Blocks. The first quote is, "But seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." And that is Matthew 6:33. The next quote is, "A great mystic tells us the upper part of the soul is merged with God, and the lower part with time and conditions." Science of Mind, page 489. Never heard that one before, or at least I don't remember reading that one. That's interesting. Have you sometimes prayed for months or even years without results? If this experience has happened to you, and I think it's happened to many of us, it does not mean that the law is not working or that God cannot fulfill our desire. However, it does mean that there may be blocks in our subconscious mind that are preventing the fulfillment of our desire. And what are these blocks? They are negative beliefs and conditions, the same destructive subconscious emotions that can gradually tear apart the tissues of our body and its vital organs until we become sick. They are the same emotions that prevent us from having happy experiences in life, that keep us in bondage and limit our prosperity. We all know that what these destructive emotions are, and though we do not want to be, we are all subject to them. Until we have taken steps to eliminate them from our subconscious mind, we may harbor resentment, fear, anxiety, hostility, worry, and a host of other destructive feelings. But once we become aware of their presence, we can make an effort to deal successfully with this negativity. Then, what we have prayed for over such long periods of time will come about. Today, I recognize and acknowledge whatever blocks may be within me. This month, I will make a conscious effort to remove block after block in order to open myself up to the experience of good that I desire. And that is RH, which is Robert, and I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. It's Haake. Haake? I don't know. But what he's talking about is why we do spiritual work, why we do healing work, why we are constantly digging in our subconscious, because it is super important for us to know what is in our subconscious. And that's why I talk about the trend of our thoughts. If we get caught up in every single, worrying about every single thought that we think, then we'll make ourselves crazy, which doesn't do anybody any good. And so that's one of the reasons why it is good to be aware of the trend of our thoughts. There was a trend a few years ago, back when the rubber wristbands were a thing. And they had one where every time you had a negative thought, or every time you said a certain word or something, you would switch wrists. And I realized that there was no way I was going to get to work, because by the time I had gotten to work, driving myself to work, and it was only like 4 miles, I'd switched the wrist 10 times. I'm kind of an aggressive driver. I'll admit that right out. So, but that's good information. And so sometimes if we have been praying for things and they're not coming, we've been doing these trips and they're not coming, it's time for us to go back and examine what's going on in our heads. And our mind, and the words that we use, the images that we use, can be good information. So something like that, which brings it to the forefront, like switching the wrist every time we said a certain word, is good. That's one of the reasons why people who journal, they have a pretty good idea of what's going on in their head, because they can go back and read it. And so that may be something where, okay, if you have been long-term treating for something and you're not getting it, maybe journaling would be a good thing for you. It's like every time you think about it, then journal your first reaction. Notice I said reaction, not response, because there's a difference. Response includes consciousness. When you respond to something, you have sat down and consciously thought about it and made a conscious decision about it. A reaction is what's ingrained in us. It's what we're trained to. A lot of the times we react without thinking. It is an unconscious reaction. Now, the good news is that you can do a lot of work and your reactions can be very conscious. You can I recommend doing loving, kind, compassionate things for yourself every day. And the reason I do that is because then you are building in a habit. You are building in a reaction that will be loving, kind, and compassionate. So a reaction isn't a bad thing. All it means is it's an unconscious, ingrained thing. And so maybe it's time for you to go back and look at all of the stuff that is unconscious and ingrained. Jesse likes to talk about the spiral, where our beliefs start, because a lot of our beliefs have underpinnings that are so deep in our subconscious or our unconscious that we are completely unaware of where these beliefs even come from. And unworthiness is one of those beliefs. If we believe that we are unworthy to receive what it is that we are treating for, we're not ever going to get it. So then we want to trek back into our subconscious and our unconscious and go, well, where is that belief? Is it our belief, or was it installed there by somebody else? And if it was installed there by somebody else, then we can unwire it. Even if it was installed there by ourselves, we can unwire that. I will straight up give you the example of women and what we're supposed to look like. If you look closely at me, you may or may not be aware I don't wear makeup. Now, here's the good news. I don't wear makeup because I don't want to, but also because I'm allergic to everything under the sun. I tried the makeup thing when I was a teenager, and I'm allergic to so much that's included in the cosmetic industries that I just don't. But in my face all the time are all of these ads telling me that I would be beautiful if I wore makeup, which means if I don't wear makeup, then I'm not beautiful? Well, here's the thing. I don't believe that. I don't. I unwired that programming years ago. Thanks in part to the fact that I just simply couldn't wear makeup. And so it was like, I can be miserable all of the time, or I can unwire that cultural programming. Okay? So I unwired that cultural programming. And so that's what I'm talking about. What is it that we have been programmed with that we are no longer conscious of, that dictates the way we feel, the way we live our lives, that means we're not getting what we treat for? Okay? So in abundance, which is what I was talking about earlier in a previous one, the one I did this morning, that's another one. We have been trained to believe that abundance, prosperity, is just money. And it's so much more than that. So many people are so much more abundant than they think they are because they're focused on their bank account and not focused on all the other stuff around them. And so that's one of the things that we want to look at. What are our blocks? What are the things that are hidden deep in our subconscious, deep in our unconscious, that no longer serve us? And we do this work. And here's the thing. We will do this work a number of different times. We will spiral up and away from it, but then we'll hit it again and we'll go, oh, and then you'll learn something new. So if you keep coming across the same issue, the same block, don't get too worried about that, because each time you hit the block, you're going to learn something new. That's one of the things. They've changed the name of Prac 1 now. It's no longer called Prac 1. It's called Advanced Consciousness Studies, I think. ACS, Advanced Consciousness Studies. And that's the whole point of that is to get in your subconscious, to dig into your subconscious, to look into your subconscious and say, all right, why do I do the things that I do? That's part of the reason why I have a degree in anthropology. My favorite thing about anthropology is simply that. It's because Anthropology looks at the human condition and says, why do we do what we do? But doesn't judge it. Okay? A lot of the other, they call them soft sciences, sociology, psychology, all of that. They have a tendency to what is it, the word? They pathologicalize the human condition. Well, anthropology doesn't do that. Anthropology just says, well, why do we do what we do? Why do we do it? Why do we sit and watch Ancient Aliens all day? Simply because it's interesting, and because they take you to interesting places all around the world. That's why I do it. There's no judgment one way or another. Is it good or is it bad? Considering that right now, literally the only thing that I'm allowed to do because of the eye surgery is to watch TV, I might as well watch something that's interesting that'll make me think about something. So this is what we're talking about. What are your needs? What are your blocks? If you're praying for something and you're not getting it, you got a block. And what are the ways that you can look at that? Therapy can help. Doctors can help. Practitioners can help. Ministers can help. Journaling can help. All of the forms of art are, whether you draw or write or paint or make music, all of that can help, because it helps you dig into that subconscious, that unconscious, and you can see where some of those things might be blocking you, and you can deal with them. And that is also the point of regular spiritual practice. Reading stuff like this that makes you stop and think, okay, I hadn't ever actually considered that, but now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going, oh, no, that makes sense. Okay. So, when I went to the eye doctor, he's like, here, these are your choices. You can keep your nearsighted vision, or we can give you distance vision, but you're going to sacrifice your up close vision. And I looked at him and I said, I've worn glasses most of my life. Reading glasses is no big thing. I don't feel old because I need reading glasses. The fact that I can see distance, that's really cool. So that's one of those things. That's a button I didn't have to worry about because I've already unwired it. So that's just another example. What are your blocks? What are your needs? Dig into your unconscious, dig into your subconscious, and find the interesting ways to do that through art and journaling and talking to people. And figure out what it is that's getting in your way. And then make a world that works for you. When we make worlds that work for ourselves, we contribute to making a world that works for everybody. When we give ourselves permission to be who we are and to get what we want, provided we're not hurting anybody else, those are the rules, including ourselves, we give other people permission to be authentically themselves. And I have just gone all kinds of different directions with this. So, all right, I'm going to grab those glasses again. Reading glasses. Ha! Let me make sure that I didn't... Okay. But once we become aware of their presence, we can make an effort to deal successfully with this negativity. If we are unaware of how negative that we can be with ourselves, we can't deal with it. Knowing who you are, and that was the summer assignment, knowing who you are can make a huge difference in getting what you need, okay? When you know the ins and outs of your own mind and your own emotional state, you can go a long way to getting what you need. So, can't do that. Can't do that. So, the mission today, should we choose to accept it, for September 16th, is to recognize and acknowledge whatever blocks may be within ourselves. Whatever it takes to recognize those blocks. Once we recognize those blocks, we can deal with them. Okay? Until we know what they are, we can't deal with them. And sometimes somebody who loves us can come up to us and tell us straight to our face. It's not always the most fun way to find out what our blocks are, but that's another way to get it, Sometimes somebody that loves you, and now if you're going to ask that question, make sure you ask somebody that will tell you gently, hey, have you noticed any about me? Have you noticed any of these negative, have you seen this? Sometimes, which is one of the points of working with a therapist, because therapists can spot those trends and they're generally gentle in the way they say them. Now, practitioners don't do that, okay? That's the difference between a practitioner and a therapist. You want to do that kind of work, definitely call a therapist. Practitioners are just going to know the highest and the best about you. Okay, just wanted to make that clear. But that's going to be the mission today. When you know who you are, when you can acknowledge what is going on in your subconscious mind, then you can deal with it. And when you can deal with it, the block's removed and you get what you want. All right, so that's the mission. And then, as always, same mission every day, loving, kind, compassionate thing. Do that for yourself. And sometimes looking at our emotional state is the most loving, kind, and compassionate thing we can do for ourselves. Especially if we've been really, kind of down in the dumps and negative. It's like, well, where is this coming from? Sometimes it's just, okay, our body remembers dates. Maybe something has happened recent, or, something in the past has happened and you're coming up on that anniversary and your body remembers that. Well, once you acknowledge that, then you can take the steps that you need. You can be a little extra gentle with yourself, okay? So remember that. Your body remembers anniversaries, sometimes even when you don't, when they sneak up on you. And then you can be loving and kind and compassionate with yourself. There was something else and it's gone. So, but that's what I'm talking about. When we dig into our subconscious, we can create the habit of our first response, our reaction. We can react lovingly, kindly, compassionately. We got to practice. And we got to do it every day. Sometimes multiple times a day. I suggest doing it once a day. I'm all for doing multiple loving, kind, compassionate things for yourself all day. The more of them you do for yourself, the more of a bank you create, the more you will have to share with people that you meet that need a little extra. And then when somebody lovingly comes to you and says, hey, I'm having this issue. Have you noticed anything about me? You can respond lovingly, kindly, and compassionately. All right? You can be that person for them. Okay. I say these other things all the time. Do something to engage your mind and your body, even though I've not for the last 3 days, but I am resting from healing. So take those days of rest when you need them. Drink plenty of water. Since I am healing, water is very important. Hydration is super important. It's good for the mind. It's good for the body. Okay? It's good for the earth. And immediately get distracted by the cat when I'm about to remind you to make sure you get bright light early in your day, and maybe cut the electronics off a little early at night so that you can reset those circadian rhythms and get a good night's sleep. Okay, that bright light does reset those circadian rhythms. That's a hormonal balance where your hormones should be at certain points that'll improve your energy during the day, improve your sleep at night. It's science. Look it up. Okay, and then take Ernest's advice, and I just lost my train of thought. Open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you, you do live in heaven right here, right now. It's all around you, all the time, because it's an inside-out job. I've taken to calling it a superpower. When you connect with the source of your own being through regular spiritual practice, then you fill up with that sense of heaven. You open those windows because you are a channel for heaven. You channel heaven into this world. So does everybody else. So when you do it for yourself, you give other people around you permission to do the same thing for yourself. So take Emma's advice. Look for the good and praise it. Look for the big good, look for the little good. Doesn't matter, just look for the good and praise it. It'll go a long way. All right? So, here's where I remind you about the social medias. We are Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark. I'm the Running Rev Ryan on the on the social medias that I'm on. And I'm cross-posting this to the Running Rev Ryan. So if you happen to be on the Running Rev Ryan page and see this and go, what is this? It's from Creative Life Spiritual Center. It's all good. And then if you want to know what's going on with the center, then you can email info@creativelife.org. Get on that constant contact. And then all of those hot links are hot, so you can get anything you want to know about what's going on at the center. We've got book studies, we've got classes, all kinds of things always going on. So that's what I know. So I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, an amazing day, a fantastic day, an enchanting day, a magical day, a Friday, or as Craig likes to call it, Fry-yay, because it is Friday this year. If you're watching this another year, well, who knows what day it is. And a great day. No, I started with that one. So I'm on good day. And if that is too much pressure, simply have a day, because you are not, just as you are. You are a beloved child of God in whom God is well pleased, always and forever. I'm going to say that every day, sometimes multiple times a day, because it's important for you to know and it's important for you to believe. And that is one of those things that you want to bury deep in your subconscious. Because knowing who you are, knowing that you are a beloved child of God, in whom God is pleased and well represented, is important. When you bury that deep in your subconscious and it permeates through your subconscious and your unconscious, your life will be better for it. Trust me. All right? So, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. He's in Europe. I don't even know where he is right now. He may be in England. He said something about 4 days for England. So we know safe travels for him wherever he is. But he'll be on and do his live stream for you. And I will be back with you at 9 a.m. I'm now caught up, back on schedule. Like I said, don't know about the park tomorrow, but I'll be back pretty close to 9. So take care of yourself. Know that you're loved, and I will see you next time.